Welcome back to the channel, guys. Self Educated Economist here. So, today we're going to be looking at the SPX priced in gold and how it has performed in the last 10, 20 years. But we're going to be kind of focusing more on more recent time price history. So, as you can see, if you compare it to the chart I was looking at yesterday, which was the NASDAQ versus or priced in Bitcoin, gold has not overly up or has not really outperformed the S&P 500. And I'm going to assume it's going to be kind of similar if I did it versus the Nasdaq. And it's very interesting. Although in the last pretty much since 2022, Bitcoin has had gone on this crazy run, well, you could even say as far as 2015, really, this low and has been on pretty much on a bull run, a massive bull run since then. You can make an argument it's been in a bull run since back here, but whatever. We're just looking at more recent price history, and this is a monthly look. So it's been on this massive bull run here in 2015. Let me move this chart a little bit. The price of gold was about $1,000, 1,060 bucks for 1 ounce of gold, and today it's sitting at 4,338 more or less for 1 ounce of gold. So a little bit over a 4x. It's not bad. That's not bad. You're definitely beating inflation at that rate. But you have also been pretty much beating inflation if you're holding the SPX. As you could see here, even from this point here in July 2011, the SPX was a better hold than gold. You could even make an argument that really up until here, until 2021, you were better off holding the SPX than gold. And then I would say in more recent price history, starting really from February 2022, so let's just say January 2022 to now, you're definitely doing significantly better. Like, I mean, let's take a look here. What's this measure move? So the SPX has lost 41% versus the price of gold. So you would have been better off holding gold starting from this period, um, January 2022 till now. You're better off holding gold, and I see this continuing. I don't know for how long, but if you look, well, let me finish that idea. I see this continuing into the foreseeable future, especially next year. I do foresee at some point the Federal Reserve going back into quantitative easing, expanding their balance sheet, etc. And I could see this continuing. Although, with that being said, there is periods in here when there was massive amounts of quantitative easing, especially. Let me see. Let me take a look. 2020. Yeah, like I mean, the quantitative easing really started around here, right? And then Bitcoin was kind of Bitcoin, the gold was kind of sideways, and it moved sideways up until January 2022. So it kind of moved sideways for a couple of years there, like about 2 years. It didn't really do too much. It was kind of stuck in this range. Then it dropped, and then it just blasted off from there to current time. So yeah, so it's just kind of an interesting look. I mean, I think this one just kind of makes you look at things a little bit differently. When you're always pricing things in dollars, it makes it seem like especially like something like the Nasdaq or the in this case the S&P 500. It always looks like these things are crushing it, and this is the way to go. And don't get me wrong, I think the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are fantastic. But if you price it in certain ways, you price it against Bitcoin, you're better off holding Bitcoin. Maybe now, as the price of Bitcoin doesn't jump as much, maybe you can make an argument that it makes more sense to hold. Or it really depends on your situation. Everyone's gonna be different. But for me, I think gold, don't sleep on it. I think maybe once you see a bit of a rally in this case the SPX versus gold, then that's a good time to buy gold. But right now, catching this downtrend in the SPX or this uptrend in gold versus the dollar, I don't want to jump in and buy gold at these high prices because I always want to feel like I'm getting a discount. And even if even if gold does make it up to $5,000, I'd rather wait until it hits that peak and then it drops back and it has a decent pullback, and you hold it, you buy it, and you hold it for the next 5 to 10 years. Because I have more of a long term investor mindset. So just some interesting videos. I'll probably make more videos and probably expand on these ideas and say, look at these charts more and see when does it make sense to jump buy this versus that. Looking at some trends to see when things are going to turn around in the SPS versus gold and Bitcoin and these sorts of things. And so if you're finding these videos helpful and you find it interesting, drop a like. It'd be very useful for me. And yeah, subscribe if you want to hear some more. I usually post every single day. Sometimes I skip a day. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.